Hi there, thanks so much for joining us today to learn a little bit more about the Fulbright Program. Today we'll be talking about our Australian program for postgraduate students. So this is for you if you're interested in undertaking research or coursework in the US. Now, if you haven't heard too much about the Fulbright Program, we have a very interesting history. The program's been around for about 70 years and its goal is to promote educational and cultural exchange between the two countries. Now, the program started after World War II when a senator called Senator Fulbright had the idea that if we just understood each other a little bit more, person to person, culture to culture, things like World War II wouldn't happen again. So the program has been running for about 70 years now, and we've had about 5,000 alumni just between Australia and the United States, but the program actually operates in over 160 countries all around the world. Now, to jump straight into it, each year we have about 100 scholarships available across the different categories. Now, we're going to talk today just about our postgraduate awards, and if you're a student, you could fall into a few different categories, and it's important to know this so that you can fill out the correct application and tick all the right boxes. Now, this is you if you are currently enrolled in an Australian master's degree and you would like to do a semester or two of that coursework in the US. This is also you if you are in the final stages of completing your undergraduate degree or you have already completed your undergraduate degree and you would like to go to the US to complete a full US master's program. You could also be a postgraduate if you are currently enrolled in a PhD program and you'd like to spend a period of time in the US of between 3 to 10 months in the US conducting research that's relevant to your PhD. This could also be you if you are interested in completing a full US PhD program. Now, there's a couple of differences between these four categories, and that is really essentially between doing coursework and research. Now, if you're one of the first 2 points there, so you want to do a full degree or just part of one important thing to keep in mind for your application is that you don't need to have a confirmed host at the time of application. We work with a placements team in the US and they assist our recipients in identifying and applying to colleges to get that part sorted. So whilst it's important in your application to know what type of degrees or what type of courses you would like to take and why they're relevant to your study and how that's going to fit into your future objectives, you don't need to have a confirmed host at this stage. It's something that we would take care of later down the line, and you could work with placement services to get their advice and their assistance on that. Now, if you're one of the bottom two categories, you're either a current PhD student or you'd like to complete a full PhD, it's important to have a host in mind, and not only that, but have already corresponded with them, engaged their interest in hosting you as a researcher. Now, for the sake of your application, you need a letter from them that just confirms that should your Fulbright application be successful, they'd be happy to host you, and you include that letter in with your application. Now, if you are a student who wanted to complete a full PhD program, we do prefer that you have a letter from a potential host, but given that you need to apply for PhD programs, whilst you might have gauged some interest and gotten some support from an institution in the US, it's also possible to make use of placement services if you need it. Now, we have a whole different range of scholarships that are available, and if you check out one of our other webinars, we'll show you how to use the website and how to make use of your different opportunities and apply for as many different scholarships as possible. But essentially, you can apply in our general category, and then you can elect to be considered for a whole range of different scholarships. But one we wanted to highlight with you today is our Fulbright Future Scholarships. Now, these are available to students of any of the four categories that we've talked about, and the difference really between these and some of our other awards is that these cover full tuition fees or visiting researcher costs. So all of our scholarships include some sort of allowance for tuition or researcher fees, but under the Fulbright Future Scholarships, the entire tuition or researcher fees are completely covered. Now, if you wanted to be considered for one of these scholarships, the Fulbright Future Scholarships are looking for applicants that are proposing research or study that can really benefit the lives of Australians. So it has real potential for impact. It could be in job creation or in health or in business or a range of other fields, but as long as it really has the potential to impact positively on the lives of Australians in the longer term. So that's one I would certainly suggest that if you jump on the website and have a look, make sure that you have ticked the box to be considered for the Fulbright Future Scholarships. Now, to be considered for multiple awards, we have a checklist that you include as part of your application, and it's up to you to go through the different awards and make sure that you are eligible for them, and then you let us know which you would like to be considered for. Some, like the Fulbright Future Scholarships, just require a little bit extra documentation, so this one requires an impact statement. So just make sure you're really clear when you go through the website on which awards you'd like to be considered for, ensuring that you're eligible for any that you tick the box for. Now, to jump back into our broader scheme and the different benefits that are included as part of a Fulbright scholarship, all of our awards include a monthly stipend, and this is paid for the length of your program. So if you're there for a full degree, it's for the length of that degree, or for a period of research, it's just for the period that you propose. And this is designed to cover any of your living costs while you're in the US. All of our scholarships also include a travel allowance, and this is designed to cover your international flights to and from the US. All of our student awards include an establishment allowance, so this is just an additional payment right at the beginning of your program to help cover things like a rental bond or just general setup costs that might take place right at the beginning. If you have a spouse or children, there's an additional allowance called a dependent allowance that is available to all postgraduate recipients, and this amount varies depending on whether you take one or more dependents with you. It's also important to note that if you are planning on taking a spouse with you, they are eligible under a J2 visa to obtain working rights. So I think it's important to know that just, for family planning, that if you did want to take some family, there are some opportunities there, if your partner needed to get some work or wanted to work while you were doing your study or research. As mentioned, our postgraduate awards either include partial or full tuition funding for coursework, and then if you were doing research, all of our awards build in an allowance for any costs that might come up as part of your research. Not all institutions, but some certainly do charge a visiting researcher fee, so they'll charge a monthly fee for you to have access to their resources, so that's why we include an allowance for that. All of our scholarships include a baseline health and accident cover, so a baseline insurance. And other things that are included, of course, Fulbright has such a large alumni network that it's great to take part and network with some of our existing connections. So we like to link up our recipients with former Fulbrighters, and also just in the wider community as well with different organizations that we're connected to. We also run an orientation program at the beginning of each year for our new recipients, where we bring together all of our Australian and American awardees for a chance to connect and network over a few days. And our colleagues in the US also organise enrichment opportunities, so programs that you can take part in as part of your Fulbright in the US. We also provide extensive support, so everything from answering basic questions about where to live and where kids should go to school, and just all the basics to help get you over there. We also give quite extensive visa support as well, so you've always got someone that you can connect with, whether that's in Australia or with our colleagues in the US. Someone's always available if you ever need. Now back to the applications themselves. So I think this is important to keep in mind whilst you're writing your application, that we really look for, there's a few dot points there, but it kind of gets broken down into 4 key selection criteria. So what we're looking for is, firstly, of course, a strong program proposal. So does this proposal make sense? Is it relevant to the discipline? Will it have impact? So the project proposal or program proposal is really important, and you'll see that as one of the additions that you add to your application as an additional document. So you get 3 to 5 pages to explain what it is you want to do, why it's important, where you want to do it, and what the impact will be. One of our other key criteria is your professional/academic background. Now, this isn't about only finding students who have a history of straight high distinctions or have a one particular list of accolades, but we just want to ensure that we're selecting people where this really makes sense on their trajectory and we're setting them up for success. So you'll upload copies of former transcripts and your resume and a couple of other bits and pieces, just so that the committees can assess to make sure that this really makes sense as part of your journey and that we're setting you up for success by sending you on a program like this. And the two other key criteria are quite similar and they're very much related. And first is ambassadorial skills. So the purpose of this program is to build connections between the two countries. So we want to make sure we're sending people who are happy to represent not just Fulbright, but represent Australia and are happy to get out of the classroom or out of the lab and go and make connections and have a great cultural experience as well. And we're also looking for personal qualities. We want to ensure we're sending people that are adaptable and they're passionate and they're really interested. So for those criteria, it's a little hard to write about in an application, but as part of it, you submit a personal statement and you can talk about kind of your background and why this program is the right fit for you. Now, the application process itself, around the world, so in all 160 countries that use the Fulbright program, we use the same application system. This is a great thing because it's quite simple, but it's a little complex in that every country has slightly different requirements and what they need. To make it really easy, on our website, we offer instructions which go through every question on the application form to make sure that you're not only filling it out correctly, but also meeting any additional needs that we need here in Australia to assess your application. Now, it's a basic form where you fill out all of your personal details and your educational history and your work history and a few other bits and pieces. You'll add in the details of 3 references, and then the system will send those references directly a link, and that's the way for them to submit a reference for you. But on top of filling all the basic info, it'll ask you to upload a range of documents to supplement your application. One is the project proposal, which we've talked about briefly, where you tell us what you want to do, why it's important, where you want to do it, and what impacts it might have, and you've got 3 to 5 pages for that. The second is a personal statement. This is where you can cover the criterion about personal qualities and potential ambassadorial skills, but really it's just a way for the committees to understand who you are outside of your project proposal and outside of your academic or professional interests. So if half of our criteria is based on picking the right people, this is the opportunity to tell them who you are behind this project and behind your professional experience. Now, for this, you have 1 to 2 pages, and admittedly, this will be the most difficult part of the application to write. Now, I've mentioned the 3 references. Just keep in mind that you add in their details and that link goes straight to your references. Make sure it hasn't gone to their spam file, and you can check back on the application to ensure that they have submitted their reference. And if anything changes, you can change your reference at any time if you find that someone isn't going to be able to submit on time. Other things you'll need is copies of your academic transcripts and also a resume to attach as well. Now, the timeline, applications are open each year from February to July. Please check the website just to check exactly what day they open and close. Now, you'll submit by approximately mid-July, and then you don't have too long to wait because we'll be in touch across August and September to let shortlisted candidates know if they have been selected for interview. In that interim stage, we do a paper-based assessment first to check that all applications are complete and eligible, and then they go through a process of being considered at a discipline level. So we get together committees made up of alumni and academics who just ensure that the project proposals themselves are quite strong. So you'll be contacted about a week or 2 before interview to set up a time. If you check back on the website in July, we'll announce all of the dates of the interviews so you can check to see when these will take place. All applicants receive notification of the outcome of their application by the end of the year. Most of the time it takes place in November, but please just note that at times this can be delayed until the end of the year. Then we bring together all of our recipients in February of each year for an orientation program, and this is where we make our public announcements about our recipients at a gala presentation dinner. Recipients can then begin their programs from July up until June the following year. So for example, if you apply in 2020, it means that you could begin your program from July of 2021 all the way up to June of 2022. Now, this is mostly for researchers. Coursework students just should be aware that you're limited for when American courses begin, which is often in August, September of each year. So if you applied in 2020, it's most likely that your start date would be August, September of 2021. Now, there's lots of information available on our website, not only just on the different types of scholarships that we have available, but lots of FAQs for filling out the application and how the programs work. You can have a look at all of the different awards. You can have a look at previous recipients and their biographies. There's more webinars if you want to learn a little bit more about the application process. Those instructions we mentioned, just have a look on the website and follow the how to apply links, and it will give you the PDF. This will give you a question by question explanation on how best to complete your application. And of course, there's so much more. So that's fulbright.org.au. But if you have any other questions that are not answered on our website, or you just need some help, feel free to get in touch with our scholarships team, and they're available on Fulbright at fulbright.org.au. And during business hours, you'd be welcome to give the office a call. But of course, we just prefer if you send us an email so we can make sure we give you the right links and information that you can refer back to. Thanks so much for joining us today, and check out another webinar for more information.